All right. So, this is my review. Oh my God. It's so hard to say this without laughing. This is my review for 6 Feet Under Nightmares of the Decomposed. Oh my God. I just did my makeup. Please. Oh, I don't want the tears. Oh my God. I mean, tears are about right? If you've heard this album. So I wanted to do an honest review for this album because if you're a metalhead or you're aware of just 6 Feet Under in general, you've probably heard this album, which came out in 2020. And this this album is notorious for quite a few things, right? So, for those that are unaware, 6 Feet Under is a band that started, I believe, just a little bit before Chris Barnes was actually kicked out of Cannibal Corpse. It was like a sort of side project. And then when Barnes was kicked out of Cannibal, 6 Feet Under became his main project. Now, originally, 6 Feet Under wasn't that terrible. Some people really love their early stuff. A lot of people, if they say they like them, they pretty much really like the first album, if not the first two. I can understand to a point why some people, believe it or not, might actually like 6 Feet Under because, believe it or not, there have been some very talented musicians within the band. But people like Terry Butler, members that had also been in Obituary and also Cannibal Corpse, like Jack Owens, have also been in this band. Now, I don't know whatever happened, and we will eventually one day go through the entire discography for 6 Feet Under. Yes, I do plan on doing that. But I just want to point out that the evolution of 6 Feet Under is so strange. And this album is probably the pinnacle of oddity within Chris Barnes' career. You know what really blows my mind? I mean, granted, 6 Feet Under was signed by Metal Blade back in the 90s, so they were in a way kind of grandfathered in, and they've been on Metal Blade for nearly 3 decades, if not already 30 years, I believe. It's 2026 as I record this. But 6 Feet Under is interesting. And this album is also interesting. So, like I said, Nightmares of the Decomposed was released on Metal Blade Records back in 2020. If you look up this album on YouTube, the videos posted by Metal Blade itself, and I believe even the 6 Feet Under YouTube channel, you cannot comment on any of the videos, on any of the songs. So, that should already put what's even the word? That should already show what we're dealing with here. Okay? And I want to point out this is an honest review. Okay? And before people start getting all crazy, I will acknowledge that yes, Chris Barnes does have a very interesting legacy. He was his early stuff with Cannibal Corpse is very essential to death metal. I will give him that. In fact, my favorite Cannibal Corpse albums are the ones that have Chris on it. Of course, I really do like George Fisher, Corpse Grinder. He's a very great person. But when it comes to the music itself, I'm not gonna lie. I would jam the fuck out of The Bleeding back when I was in high school. The Bleeding is my favorite Cannibal Corpse album. Anyway, to review this one though, here, I wrote it down. I hadn't typed it up. I might type it up for a blog post. But here is my review, honest review for these songs. So starting out, the album opens up with the song Amputator. And for here, I wrote that it was instrumentally good. Here. Instrumentally good. though the song is tarnished by Chris Barnes's lyrics and vocals. The writing had long been hackneyed to the band in general by the time that this album came out. And by the writing, I mean Barnes's writing. At the end of this song is one of Chris Barnes's notorious E's, his E, scowl, growl, scream, whatever you call that shit. You know, Chris Barnes does that E thing, and it reminds me of like a zombie grandma. I don't know what else to call it. The ending with those E's, by the way, is just the beginning of what would be very frequent on this album. So the second song is the notorious Zodiac. Now, this song has much shorter lyrics, but it still seems to make you feel like a century has gone by when you listen to this song. The line, "Pick up the pieces of my destruction," and later on, "pick up the pieces of my frustration," as he says, is so quotable in the worst way possible. I remember when this album first came out, my husband and his friends would quote that line over and over again, and we would just laugh because it was just so stupid. I mean, it's not even so much of the way it's written as how it's executed and it's presented. So much of this album and its writing just comes off as juvenile. So Chris Barnes's writing style is so laughable and vapid, in my honest opinion, and it makes a bathroom sink seem like a well. One time, I actually paid a guitarist, I'm not going to name who. It's probably better that I don't name who this person was. But there's this guitarist, and he was doing stuff on Cameo. So I paid for him to cover this song. And you know what that guy did? He refunded my money. The guy would not cover this song. So, of course, I guess that just goes to show what others in the music community might think of this song and album as a whole. Anyway, so after that is The Rotting. So, oh God, the opening riff to this song is very simplistic, but it's forever ruined in my mind thanks to the horrible, horrible music video. The music video to this song is so laughably bad. It's like a really bad video game cutscene where the developers really barely knew much about CGI or computer graphics in general. In fact, it was almost like it was made by the developers of the game 7 Days to Die. The developers to that are actually called the Fun Pimps. And that's really not a compliment because if you played 7 Days to Die, it's pretty laughably bad too. So that's what I thought of when I saw the music video to The Rotting. And of course, the song itself is rotting itself, right? After that is the song Death Will Follow. So lyrically, the song is close to what you would see on Cannibal Corpse's album, The Bleeding. I felt like the song was like a discount version, lyrically, of Fucked with a Knife, which is on that album, The Bleeding. Barnes has this odd vocal sound where it reminded me of a piece of cardboard flipping in the wind. Every time he does that surprise pig squeal on this album, especially this song, I just became offended. It was like offensive to hear that. I was like, why are you doing that? Cut that out. Afterwards is the song Migraine. As crazy as it is to say, I can't believe I'm actually really even saying this. I actually kind of liked this song. Seriously. Not because of Chris Barnes and the lyrics, but because actually the guitars to this song are very fun in the track. A part of me actually feels bad for the remaining band members for 6 Feet Under because in some ways it's like they're being held hostage, talent-wise, by Chris Barnes. It's strange as the musicians can actually really show their talent. And they really would, or really do have musical capabilities. But in the majority of cases, multiple songs from multiple albums with 6 Feet Under, Chris Barnes's antics nearly holds it all back. This is one of those few songs where Barnes' style actually fits into the song, though his pig squeals ruin any redeeming qualities that the song has. Afterwards is the infamous song, The Noose. I don't know what song is more popular off of this album. I mean, it's so hilariously bad. The album as a whole. What is worse? Zodiac, The Rotting, The Noose? If you've listened to this album, let me know which one is your favorite, like in the worst way. Which song is so laughably bad? Please let me know. So, what I wrote down here was that I said, The Noose, this is by far, if not one of, the worst metal songs I have ever heard in my entire life. But I'm serious. It really is. This is one of the worst metal songs ever, in my opinion. And I'm not just saying that just to say it either. I think of that clip from King of the Hill where Hank says, "My God, it's all toilet sounds," or however it goes. Because that's how I felt about this song. That's how I feel about this album. Really, it's all toilet sounds. It's garbage. It's doo-doo. The guitar solo is good, but that's it. And it doesn't make up for the rest of it, and the guitar solo does not make the song worth listening to. To quote AVGN, Angry Video Game Nerd, what were they thinking? What were they thinking? Not even the drums to this song are good. I mean, not even the drums? I'm surprised how they pulled that off. You couldn't even get that right either, dude? The next song is Blood of the Zombie. So this is a song that once again shows that the band itself has great talent. The bassist stands out to me in this song, to me the most, really, as it showcases his talent. Unfortunately, this is once again overshadowed by Chris Barnes and his nearly zombified sounding vocals and, of course, laughably weak lyrics. After that is Self-Imposed Death Sentence. This is a great title to a song, actually. Self-Imposed Death Sentence. That's pretty cool. That's brutal, right? That should be a heavy as fuck sounding song and cool as hell. The band is on point in this song, but Chris Barnes' vocals are a huge distraction to this. He is often off, and I found his cadence to this song to be odd. I was just like, it sounded like as if he was recording his vocals without actually hearing anything back. I was like, this had a lot of potential, and it was ruined. After that is Dead Girls Don't Scream. So this sounds like the title to what would be a Rob Zombie movie, you know? The beginning riff to the song was pretty cool, but I felt like Chris Barnes was nearly a pastiche, honestly, of his former self during The Bleeding. And I think that's what this album in general reminded me of. A very bad version of The Bleeding. The lyrics to Dead Girls Don't Scream, there's this one part that just made me cringe, where there's one part it says, "Let it bleed for daddy." That made me nauseous when I heard that. When I read that, I was like, oh. The idea of calling Chris Barnes daddy makes my stomach hurt. I'm like, ew. Ew. After that is Drink Blood, Get High. So this is a faster song with an interesting title, I'll admit. Drink blood, get high. Okay, that kind of almost sounds like a song, the name of a I Hate God song. Like, I could see Mike Williams making a song titled that. But anyway, and I'll admit, this would be pretty cool for like a shirt or, a movie slogan, to put that whatever song title on a shirt. The lyrics sort of insinuate what I'm pretty sure is supposed to be like a vampire. It's like a vampire zombie thing. They're so vague, you could interpret the lyrics as zombies or some sort of like ritual killer. In comparison to some of the other songs, this one isn't terrible. And surprisingly enough, Chris Barnes does not E in it. After that is the song called Labyrinth of Insanity. So this is another song that is musically great, but it is ruined by the hollow vocals and repetitive lyrics. And I know that my criticism for each of these songs is repetitive, but I mean, it's just, I just wanted to point it out, This is just how I go. I think that it's better to review an album by each song, personally. But anyway, it... The vocals are hollow, the lyrics are repetitive, and I felt like Chris Barnes just basically repeats the same two verses over and over, which if you listen to multiple albums or songs from 6 Feet Under, that's kind of just how he is. But I felt bad when listening to this song. I felt bad for the band, once again, as their actual talent is overshadowed because of this. And finally, this album ends with the song Without Your Life. This song was immediately ruined for me by Chris Barnes going E at the start of the song. That stupid E thing he does ruined it for me. Of course, the guitar solos in it are great. And it nearly made me forget about the vocals to this song. The lyrics are once again reminiscent of the early Cannibal Corpse days. Somewhat from this one reminded me more of the Tomb of the Mutilated era. The album ends, of course, after this song, and I was just left confused. After listening to it in its entirety, I just thought to myself, what just happened? I've often wondered what the true demographic or fan base is to just 6 Feet Under as a whole, especially after listening to this album. I'm not a fan of 6 Feet Under. I've never bought any of their albums because I'm just not into their music enough. But I know somewhere somebody's got to be buying this shit. And my question is who? And if you like 6 Feet Under before this album, what did the average fan, who, is there a 6 Feet Under that fan that likes this album? That's my question. Seriously. I've never met a 6 Feet Under fan in real life, nor online. But, I suppose they're out there, right? Because, they have all those albums. They'll tour. Somebody's showing up, right? Granted, at the same time, too, if you're a fan, they might not want to show their face. They might not want to reveal themselves. I don't know. I've always, of course, I often wonder who buys the albums, in all seriousness. And I'm really not even trying to shit on anybody. It's just an honest question. Who buys 6 Feet Under albums? Seriously. So I also and of course I marvel at the fact that they're on Metal Blade, but I know that they had been on for nearly 30 years, as I said earlier in the video. Of course, sometimes certain things are too strange to explain, right? They're sort of an enigma, are they not? If anything, I do appreciate 6 Feet Under, because if I ever feel really, really bad, if I feel really depressed, I will turn on the news. And listening to that song makes me laugh. So I appreciate Chris Barnes for making me laugh and putting me in a better mood, right? So, of course, overall, I don't recommend this album to anyone. So out of 5 stars, I give this album 0.5. Not even one, like half a star. Half. But for the first time, I have to give something 5 slimes. Oh, hold up. 5. This album deserves 5 slimes. I'm not kidding. Because it's so hilarious and so bad. And this is an album I think will be talked about for decades to come because of how just off the wall and ridiculous it is. It's hilarabad. And it's like, how many other movies in horror, for example, are so terrible, but they're remembered because they're that bad? That's how I feel about this album. Uh, Nightmares of the Decomposed is like a really horrible, cheesy, not even B or C, it's like D grade. It's like a D grade horror movie. And it's like a really bad horror movie. And in some ways, it reminds me of this album from this all female like rock band called the Shags from the 60s. Did I already say that? Where it just you listen to it and you're like, I can't believe they came out with this. I just can't believe they released this. That's what I pretty much thought the entire time listening to this album. I just can't believe they released this. There's so much more I want to say, but I feel like I would just be repeating myself. Anyway, for someone who is very deep into it and is a huge metalhead, myself, obviously, I wouldn't listen to this for like leisure's sake. You know, I'm the type of person I listen to music leisurely. It's an activity for me. It's fun for me. And this is fun for all the wrong reasons, you know? So anyway, if you want a good laugh, I would say to check this album out. But if you want to like expand your horizons and maybe learn a thing or two or be like, oh my God, you know, I don't know. Some people take their music extremely seriously, especially metalheads. And if you're a very serious music listener, then this is not the way to go. But then again, sometimes you can still learn by example. And sometimes you could learn from people of what not to do.
Let's quit talking about Chris Barnes before we get in trouble.